I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. This is kind of a tour of the new serraus.org website, and I'm going to start with a prayer, but since you're all muted, just follow along silently if you would. Name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit that they may be created, and that you may renew the face of the earth. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. This first slide just talks about what we're going to try and accomplish tonight. I'd like to show you how to use the new website, what information is available, and most important is how to find that information. Just to give you a little background, our old website, there were two major complaints. One complaint was that it was constantly out of date, and that was both in terms of the news and information that was being provided, and also we had a lot of links that when people would find them and click on them, they'd get a no page found. So that was one of the complaints. The other complaint was that it was very difficult to find what people were looking for. So we've tried to organize the website to solve both of those problems. Let me talk first about the target audiences that we designed this for. There are really five. One is non-Serran Catholics. And that would be kind of two groups. One would be Catholics that maybe know nothing about Serra but heard about it and are just looking for more information. But another group might be Catholics that are very involved in vocations efforts, primarily through parish vocations committees or ministries, and maybe even a vocations club. And they're just looking for tools and prayers to use in their efforts on vocations. So that's one audience that we want to serve. Second one is just Serrans in general, and we want to inform them about everything that's happening. And then the third, which is really a key focus, is all of our club officers in the U.S. to make sure that they know what's going on and they have the resources to do their jobs efficiently. The fourth one is U.S. council leadership. That would be those above the club level, like district governors or regional directors. And finally is vocations directors. We promote quite a bit the serraspark.org website with vocations directors. But a lot of vocations directors still don't know about it, and they may just come to the Serra website looking for, again, information or programs they can use in their efforts there. So those are the five target audiences. And then before we jump into the website itself, I just want to tell you a little bit about how it's organized. There are actually 13 tabs across the top of every page. We're going to see those in just a second, but I want to talk about those and who they're designed to address. I got to give you my analogy here is I think of the serraus.org website as a library, this kind of the Serra library. And I think about the home page that you land on when you put in serraus.org as sort of like the lobby that everybody comes into. And it's like a lobby in any old library. It's going to have bulletin boards with announcements up and information and current news, things people want to really promote. And then from there, you go to aisles filled with books and the resources that you're trying to find. So there are 12 aisles here. The first aisle is About Us, and that is basically designed for people who aren't Serrans and don't know much about Serra. And we'll go through that when we get there. The second one is the Vocations Resources. This one is important because a lot of people who aren't Serrans, and even some that don't know anything about Serra Spark, are just looking for vocations resources, and Serra Spark is mentioned as one of those here. You'll see that, but basically this is the aisle people would go down, and there's quite a bit of stuff, but it's organized in a way that somebody who's not from Serra should be able to find what they're looking for. And then we have club resources, and that's for club officers primarily. And that is probably the longest aisle in terms of materials. So you got to walk down it, you got to stroll down it, or scroll in this case. But it's for a lot for club officers primarily is the target audience there. Then U.S. leadership resources is focused on district governors and region directors and the board. And then we have a tab for Hispanic resources because we have a lot of clubs. We have some new Hispanic clubs that are starting up, and we have a lot of effort on cultural outreach to the Catholic Hispanic community. And we have a whole tab just dedicated to what we have in Spanish. And then we have the Serra Spark tab here, and that is a lot of our vocations directors do know about Serra Spark because we do a pretty good job of teaching it at the NCDVD conference for new vocations directors. So this takes them right to Serra Spark. They don't have to search through anything. They come onto the website, they're looking for Serra Spark, they're going to find a tab there. We have a button called Ignite, and that is for our program of free diocesan training to form parish vocations committees. And then we have what's called the Serra Portal. I'll mention this later on. We're going to change the name to Club Express. But the idea here is that somebody can go, just click on that button and go directly to the sign-on page for Club Express to get into the membership portal. There's a tab for Serra International, and that just simply leads to the serrainternational.org website. And then we have a YouTube tab, and that contains all of the videos that people might want to use for programs or to review training. And it's really well organized, and we'll go through that too. We have a kind of a standard contact us, which gives people our email, our mail, and our phone ways to contact us. And finally, there is a donate tab, which leads to the Serra Foundation website, which is a way that people can contribute to any of the organizations in Serra. So that just gives you a little feel for sort of how it's organized. Home, think of as the lobby when you walk into a library, and all the rest are aisles. Some are very long, some are very short, but you'll see that here when we do this. Okay, at this point, you should be seeing the top of the home page for the serraus.org website. And the top is really designed for people that kind of stumble into the serraus.org website. They're just trying to figure out about Serra. And so there's just a rolling silent video behind, but there's this button about Serra, and it takes you over to the next page, which is about Serra for people that don't know anything about it. The really guts of the homepage, though, for Serrans, for the people on this call, is if you scroll down just a little bit here. First, this is what I call the billboard section. There are 3 sort of billboards here, and these are going to be relatively permanent. So we want to give a continuous plug for the 7 Serran prayer teams. We think that's one of the most important projects and programs that Serra does. That's the one on the left. The one in the middle is the Missionaries Membership Contest. And mostly there, we're trying to get clubs to register. So you can see at the bottom of this one, there's a register your club, but I'm going to click on that. And you can see there's the form that people need to fill in for their club to be eligible for awards. It's not very long. It takes about 2 minutes to fill in. Let me see if I can go back here now. And then the third one is currently promoting the Serra International Convention this June. And if you click on the Register Now button, it takes you right to the website to register and sign up at the Marriott for the Serra International Convention. Now this one will change every 6 months. When the Serra International Convention concludes, we'll switch into the rally here, the Serra U.S. rally, and it'll be the same kind of design with the dates and also a connection to the registration website there. So just take a look at those 3. They're not going to change very much except for that one on the right, which is the Serra International Convention, and that'll toggle back and forth between Serra International and the rally. The next section I think is really valuable and important. The column on the left says recent news, and you can see there that we have the most recent Serran. If you click on read more, I'm not going to do that right now, but it's the most recent Serran. We have a talk by Father Torres on vocations in the United States. It's a really excellent talk. It's actually sort of an article more than anything. And Father Torres was supposed to give a presentation at the recent rally in Miami, but he got stuck in an airport and couldn't make it in person. So the presentation attempted over Zoom, and there was very poor internet connections in the airport, so it didn't work very well. So he just gave us the script of what he was going to talk about. It's very good, though. We'll always have the most recent, always forward, never back. And having said that, we have a request in for a change. The most recent one just came out April 10th, but I think that'll be up in the next 2 days. We'll always have the current monthly leadership planning calendar. And I might click on this just to show you that sometimes when you click on things, let me see if I click on Father Torres. See, you get his whole article comes up immediately. And it's a really good article. Like I said, it's worth reading. But sometimes when I go down here to the April leadership planning calendar and you click, it will do a download to your download folder, and then you have to go to your download folder, and there is leadership planning calendar for April 2025. So just to give you a feel, sometimes they'll come up directly, sometimes they download. I think it has to do with the size of the files there, but either way, you can get the information. Okay, let me see if I can get out of this. There we go. And then at this particular point, we're also giving some publicity to Bob Campney's obituary. Bob was a treasurer for both U.S. and Serra International, who died suddenly from complications of a stroke about 2 weeks ago. And finally, we'll always have the most current Serra Connects. So that's the recent news. And then over here on the right are upcoming events. And the nice thing is in this calendar, which Vianney Vocations designed for us, they may have picked it up as a tool somewhere. But basically, as time goes by and an event becomes outdated, it will just automatically clear off of this. So we won't have the problem we had on the old Serra website, where if you went on there, we were still advertising the Serra Rally from 2023 as of December last year. That won't happen anymore. And we'll just do our best to keep up. And we're going to post things like this webinar is the number one item there. And then the next Serra Meets is on April 21st. Andy Tassani was asking about that. And let me show you how this works. We give the date and we give the day. You have to click on the event detail to get the time and the connection information. So this is the connection information for the next Serra Meets on April 21st. Here is the date and here is the time, 7 p.m. Central Time. So just give you some feel for how the event detail works there. The next committee call is going to be for vocations on May 12th. And you want to click on the event detail that has slightly different contact information. And then we have the next Serra Meets, which is May 19th with Father Jack Wall. And finally, we have the Serra International Convention on the 26th to the 29th of June. So this is a great page for everybody to check on a frequent basis, especially if you're looking for how to connect, what's coming up, what's on the schedule there. Then there's a section down here called Club of the Week. And I want to explain this. We're going to, once every week, we're going to sponsor a club here. We're just giving some very basic information about the club. I've used my own club, the St. Sarah Club of Des Moines, Iowa, as a sort of a placeholder here until we get this working, only because I knew all the information that was needed here. So it was chartered in 1949. It's club number 44. It has about 150 members, and the president is David Piper. And then there's a line down here that says, for more information, call Barbara Luster in the Chicago Serra office at her direct number there. Let me tell you what we're going to do with this. We're going to change this club every week. I think it'll change over on Sunday night at midnight. And after the Des Moines Club's not eligible, they're just placeholders here. But we're going to start this after Easter, I hope. We're going to pick clubs randomly based on their club number. And if an officer from that club calls in during the week that the club is the club of the week, they're going to get a $25 discount on their next Serra International dues. The idea, I know that's not much money, but my hope is that maybe it would give every club an incentive to check this homepage once a week. So keep an eye out if your club becomes that. So then down below that, we have a direct access to the Serra YouTube, because we think there's so many good things on there that people don't even realize are there. Then we have the Serra magazine again, but here, if you click on the magazine archives, you can go back to any of the magazines, I think for the past, well, I think it goes back to 2019. So if you're looking for an article or something, the magazine archives is the place to go. Then at the bottom here, we just have a Stay Connected. It lets people that want to get our emails get it for free. And then at the very bottom of the page, this green bar at the top and the stuff down here is standard on every page in the website. So you find this at the bottom of every page. And some of the things to note here are that right over here on the far left in the almost the bottom corner is an F and a yellow circle. That is our Facebook page. Serra U.S. has a Facebook page. Clicked on it here. Let's see what comes up. I'm not a Facebook user, so you don't have to be a Facebook subscriber or member to do this, but you can access. And to me, there's information, but it's also primarily a place for posting photographs from our recent events, and there's some pretty nice ones on there. And I think the Chicago office is going to make a major effort to keep the Facebook page current with a lot of photos there. So see if I can get out of that. Okay, we're back here, and this uh, yellow circle with a sort of a playing button in it is just another way to get to the Serra YouTube channel. Then over here towards the right, we have a column called Resources, and these are just the same as the tabs at the top of the page. And who we are more tabs. And then finally, we have a contact, and that is our current new address. We just moved the Chicago office about a month ago. That's the new address. That's the phone number we'd like everybody to use. And that's the email we'd like everybody to use, info@serrainternational.org. We're monitoring that very carefully. And we're getting a lot of traffic on it right now. So that's the home page, that's sort of the lobby of the library. Now we're going to go to the next button, and I'll just show you the buttons here. It's About Us, Vocations Resources, Club Resources, U.S. Leadership Resources, Hispanic Resources, Serra Spark, Serra Ignite, Donate, Contact, YouTube, Serra International, and the Serra Portal, which will change this week to Club Express. We had some comments that people don't know what the Serra Portal means, and they think it'd be clearer if we do Club Express, so that's what we're going to do. Let's take a quick look at the About Us page. I don't think many people on this call will use this much, but it would be a place to send people who are just interested in learning more about Serra but know nothing about it. So there's a little quote from Pope St. John Paul II. There's a paragraph that talking about our apostolate and the fact that we're lay Catholics. And then there's our mission, which is stated here. And this is a video. I'm going to play it. It's only 1 minute long. But it's a pretty nice little video for people that know nothing about Serra, and it doesn't overwhelm them, just tells them what we're basically about. So let's see if you can get this.
Perhaps the greatest gift we can each give to another person is a light to shine on their life's purpose. A light of prayer, a light of encouragement, a light of support and companionship. As they discover and journey the path God calls them to. Welcome to Serra. As a global Catholic network of men and women who come together in their local communities, Serra serves to preserve and prepare the church for tomorrow by nurturing the vocations of today. We prepare for future generations with those who have gone before, prepared for us. A vibrant church steeped in sacrament and rich in vocations. Serra makes sure that no one who opens themselves to the call of the Holy Spirit ever feels like they're walking alone. Learn more, be more, discover Serra.
Okay, that's it. And like I said, I think it's just kind of a nice little video for people that aren't Serrans to get a little bit of a flavor of what Serran is. Then if you scroll down a little bit more here, you'll see qualifications to become a Serran. And those are pretty standard and known to most people. Then there's a Find a Club button, which helps people identify a club, but there is no way to contact once you identify a club. You have to contact the office, and this takes you to the email here. So I'll just show you how this works. A map comes up, and I see that we've got Canada on here, Lydia, so maybe this works for Canada too. I haven't ever tested that out, but I'll go to Iowa here. That's my state, and you can see in the upper left corner, there are 5 clubs listed, and that's correct. There are 5 clubs in the state of Iowa. And if I click on my club, the Des Moines Club, it gives you a little information about its location. You can access the event calendar, although my club has not filled that in, and it tells a little bit about the charter date and the diocese that the club is in. So it gives people a chance to find out where a club is that's close to them. But in the end, they still have to contact the office to find out what the right club is there. So, okay, let me go back. And then there's a section, just a brief section on who St. Junipero Serra is. And then there's one more section here. This is our board, the U.S. Council Board, and you can meet the board. And we have pictures of all but I think one of our current board members here and the positions they hold. You can see them here. And for a brief bio and the club they're from, I'm going to click on Ann Roth, who's the current president. It tells you what club she's from, a little bit about her background, and then what she did in Serra there. So that's just a way to kind of keep informed of who we are and about us there. And that this section too, our board is also listed under the U.S. Leadership Resources. So it duplicates on the website here. Now we're going to move over to Vocations Resources. Now the real guts of the website are these next three tabs: Vocations Resources, Club Resources, and U.S. Leadership Resources. And you can see on the drop-down menu here what's included under Vocations Resources. Remember, this is just one long page, sort of like a long aisle in the library here. It's going to include something about Serra Spark, the 7 Greats, Serra Ignite, some liturgy guides or meditations, bulletin messages for 52 weeks of the year, petitions for prayers of the faithful for 52 weeks of the year, our National Vocations event, and also the Serra Store. You can click on any one of these and it'll take you to that portion of the page, but I'm just going to click on the main one and we'll just start at the top and go down. So here's Vocations Resources. It starts off with the Serra Store and Serra Ignite. If you click on the Learn More here, it'll take you to Vianney Vocations, and it says that right there. That's where all of our Serra materials are stored and sold. Serra Ignite, again, is the program about free training for parish vocations ministries. And this actually takes you over to the Serra Ignite button or page. So there's the same information, but it gets you over there. Again, remember that this vocations section is designed for people that may not be familiar with Serra, how it's organized, Serra Spark or Serra Ignite. And so we're just trying to educate people as to those things, but also make some things easy to find. These would be parish vocations ministry people looking for prayers or programs, or they could be a vocations club. Could be a parish priest that just wants to do something for a special day, like maybe a World Day of Prayer for Vocations. So this is organized a little differently. These are kind of like little boxes or banners here, but we have one on the Serra Spark. And the important thing about this one is it's intended to tell people what Serra Spark is. You know, it's over 30 tried and true tested vocations programs, and also some great videos. And if you learn more, that takes you over to the Serra Spark page, which takes you directly to the serraspark.org website. The next one here is the 7 Greats. Those are the 7 most commonly used vocations programs out of Serra Spark. And we have that in both English and Spanish. The one to the far right is Sunday bulletin messages. And again, we have those in English and Spanish. And we have those for each week of the year. In the next row down, we have intercessions for prayers of the faithful. And again, we have those in English and Spanish. And I'll just click on the English here to show you. It's just a Word document, but it gives you, starts with the first Sunday of the liturgical year, first Sunday of Advent, and you can see it goes all the way through here to well into, and it should end up at Christ the King Sunday way down at the end here. So just give you a little flavor for how that works. And liturgical guides or vocation meditations, we have these courtesy of Moira and Michael Late, who compose these for us every year. They're just beautiful. And what they are is they're focused on the seasons of Lent and Advent. So right now we have Lenten meditations up, and there is a meditation for each day. I'll just click on English here. For each day of Lent, and the meditations are all focused on vocations. So that's what's really nice about these. And then we have a book called Pocket Prayers for Vocations. This is courtesy of the Davenport, Iowa Club. And it is a little book of a pocket book that can be put in your pocket with prayers for vocations. I'll just scroll down here. There's a little bit about St. Junipero Serra. Then there's starts with the basics, the 10 Commandments, the promises to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, to the St. Margaret Mary, and then little bit about the Caravaca crucifix, and then it just goes for a whole bunch of a nice collection of prayers for vocations. Some of our Serra prayers, some you may not have heard of before, but they're really nice. And again, these can be printed off and made into a little pocketbook that people like to carry with them. I'm going to go back here. I'll finish the last two and then I'll tell you something about these. One is Adoration Prayers for Vocations, and this is a booklet that the Des Moines Club put together. It has about 24 half-size pages of prayers for that focus on vocations to use during Eucharistic adoration. And then this Rosary for Priests and Seminarians has always been a favorite of mine, and that's courtesy of the Lehigh Valley Club in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But it's very, very nicely done rosary that's designed to honor priests and seminarians with meditations on each decade of the rosary there. So the one thing to notice about these, and I might mention the pocket prayers are also available in Vietnamese, is that while some of these are Serra Spark items, not all of them are. So bulletin messages, intercessions, liturgical guides, those are in Serra Spark. Pocket prayers for vocations are not. The adoration prayers for vocations are not, and the rosary for priests are not. So those are all kind of special things, and we just put them here because we figured people that come here may not know much about Serra, but they're looking for prayers of a special kind, and we want to give them to them. Then this next section is the National Vocations events, and if you know, there's 6 of them. There is, and this is the chronological order starting in the beginning of the calendar year. There's World Day for Consecrated Life, then there's National Catholic Sisters Week, World Day of Prayer for Vocations, Religious Brothers Day, Priesthood Sunday, and National Vocations Awareness Week. And on some of these, we give you what the dates are. We'll probably put the date here because that's missing, I see. But, just to give you an idea, if you click on that, or click on Learn More, you're going to get sent to a website. I think this is a USCCB website that gives you all kinds of ideas, resources, vocation bulletins, things for children, things for teens, and so forth. So just kind of things that could help a club if they wanted to do something in a group of parishes or even just one parish there. So that is the National Vocations Awareness events. And then we come to the bottom of the page, which is the same as the bottom of every page. Again, we got the Facebook, we've got YouTube over here, and then we've got, just in another format, are the tabs at the top of the page and the accurate contact information. So that's vocations resources. Okay, we're going to go to the next tab, which is club resources. This is probably the one with the most resources on it. So again, you can see that it's organized into frequently requested. We'll talk about that in a second. Monthly committee calls, the membership, vocations, programs, communications, cultural outreach, and then a pretty extensive section here about club officers' duties and training, including a manual for each of the club officers. So let's go, we'll click on the main one here and just start at the top of the page. Frequently requested. And this is a collection of articles and forms and information that have we get called on all the time. I actually created this page on the old website because so many people called me for stuff, and I decided I was going to start putting it somewhere where I could just go to this section, you'll see it there. So, and I just want to run down these so you have some feel for them. So the very top one is the club liability insurance application. Not very religious, but I would tell you that it's highly requested. And if you click on this, this gives you a liability insurance request, and you just fill it in. It's not that long. And this provides liability insurance for a club's meeting, especially when they have wine or beer being served. So a lot of churches and dioceses now require this. And then we have the new application form in English. We have the new application form in Spanish. We have the new member induction ceremony and the officer installation ceremony, both of which are highly requested. But I want to make a note here that both of these are PDF documents. They're very old. They're still accurate, but there's an example of the installation ceremony, but I didn't mean to click on that. The thing I want to note is that PDFs, I wish we had Word documents here. And so I put in this next one, which is new member induction and officer installation, but it's a Word document, which makes it easier for you to adapt to your own clubs. You just have to go in and make a few corrections. You don't have to retype it like you do with PDF. I don't have the ability to make corrections in a PDF document. I think you have to subscribe to Adobe to do that.
May I stop you for a moment?
Yes.
Because I know that many people have a Word document, but if you haven't got if you have LibreWord or anything that is like a Word document, if you have an extension as DOC, you might not be able to get that. It'll go to machine language. But if you have a document that's ending with DOCX, you'll receive it.
Yeah, that's the most current version of Word is they end it with it. And you can see that right here on the new member induction and officer installation. These are merged together, but you can separate them easily. And that is a DocX document. So it's a Word. You can modify that one very easily. Then the next category is our new member orientation. And that's a 36-minute recording here, which is a YouTube recording. A lot of people ask for the PowerPoints that are used in that. So here are the PowerPoints. And just like our last caller said, was that Lydia that came up with that?
Yes, Lydia.
Yeah. This PPTX is really the most current PowerPoint version. And then we have support documents, which is a PDF that's a scan of all the slides and some articles that were too fine to show on the screen, so they're there to reference. And finally, there's a script of the presentation. It's the speech I read when I do this new member orientation. It's really only there in case a truck hits me or something, and somebody doesn't have to start over trying to figure out what the speech is you give here. Then we have Pope Francis's remarks to Sarens in 2017. It's a wonderful backup program if anything ever happens to your club program. A wonderful little talk. Takes maybe 25 minutes, but very inspiring. Then there's a new Serra Foundation video about some of the grants the foundation is doing. There's an article here, which you wouldn't want to modify, but you might want to read. It's called What Do I Get for My Dues? That appeared in the Saren about a year ago. And then there's the Serra U.S. Vocations Report. I can't think of what Serra stands for, but it's a Georgetown group that basically supports the USCCB in analyzing priesthood and religious vocations and Catholic information every year. Kind of interesting to see what's happening. You see there the great fall off in the number of priests we have. Then there's a list of the most recent Serra Foundation grants. There is a quick start manual for new clubs. We have model or sample U.S. club bylaws here. And those are in PDF. I have a Word version of those. We don't like people making too many changes in that, but there is a Word version I'll probably post here too. And then this isn't highly requested, but some people wish it was available when they wanted to look at it. So we have the Serra International Constitution and Bylaws, and we have the Serra U.S. Council Constitution and Bylaws. And then we have the club proxy delegate form for the Serra International Convention. That's where if you don't have anybody going from your club, you can designate a proxy, and that proxy can take that information and vote for your club at the convention. And then a new one that we've included here, just because it's been sought after so much, we have 12 Zoom backgrounds that are all kind of Serra focused that some people like to use when they're on Zoom calls. So those are the frequently requested documents, and keep your eye on those. I think we're going to add a couple of more this week, but so the next one is monthly committee calls. It's just a block here, but if you go over here to the right and click on the plus, it'll open the block up, and it basically just gives you information. It says on the second Monday of every month, there is a national call that rotates between vocations, programs, membership, and communications. And this is the link. It's usually a Zoom call. So I'm going to close that back up. Membership growth resources is a pretty extensive one here, but it replicates some of the stuff in frequently requested. So we again have the new member application form in English and Spanish. We have the new member orientation, the presentation, the PowerPoints, the support documents, and the script. And then we have the rules for the missionaries membership contest, so that if people want to see what the rules are each year, they can do that. We just have a note about the new member kits, just to tell everybody what's in the new member kit so they know that. And then there's a come and see presentation put together by Candace Terrell, our U.S. membership vice president. And she uses that for a come and see, inviting people to come and think about joining Serra. There's a PowerPoint program called Membership. It's more than just asking. There's just a brief slide here that talks about the Texas Envelope program, that several Texas clubs have had great luck getting new members by this little program they have, that they hand out an envelope that has everything in it, including a signed application form. The Serra membership brochure, which I think is a Vianney Vocations. Yeah, it's a Vianney Vocations brochure. Really nice trifold, and it has it's 4-color, but it has a blank space on the back to put your label of your club. Again, the new Quick Start Club Manual. Another article Candace did, What Do My Club Dues Do? And then this one is has been a very old one, but I had 2 requests recently. We couldn't find them. We finally found them, but this is Serra radio spots. I'm just going to click on those. That downloaded. I'll open it up here. And you can see here, this, you probably can't read all this, but this is a 90-second commercial, or what they call an elevator speech, something you might give in an elevator if somebody asks you a question about Serra. And then the following one is for Catholic radio, it's a 60-second text. These are just text, so you'd have to have somebody read these, but you'd probably want to have somebody from club do that anyway. A second one for 60 seconds, one for 45 seconds, and a final one for 40 seconds. Just something to be aware of that's there, that we had on the website, but we didn't have an active link to it. We finally got the active link going. So, okay, I'm still on Vocations Resources. I'm going to go back down here. I'm at the top of the page. We haven't finished scrolling through it. Oh, wait a minute. We're in Club Resources. Here we go. Oh, come on. Why can't I get this page to move over here? Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. Get it back to full screen. So we talked about frequently requested. We're going to go down here. We talked about the monthly committee calls, membership growth resources we just talked about. Now here's Vocations Resources. This one's already opened, and it'll stay open. And what this one does, this takes you back to the Vocations tab that was previous to this. You know, the previous aisle, so to speak. And it has all the vocations information there. So we didn't duplicate that here. It just takes you back there. Then we have some program resources. We have a list of potential speakers and topics for monthly club meetings. Just a simple slide on special programs clubs do. A little bit about Seventh Serrans prayer teams for vocations directors. Our new Call to Holiness manual. And finally, there is the 2025 liturgical calendar that has ideas focused on vocations events that can happen in conjunction with that. So that's programs. Communications mostly is training for using the Serra portal at this point, the Club Express. So we have one for general members, we have one for administrators who have special powers, and we also have one training for committees and boards, which I think focuses a lot on keeping calendars and group emails. So I'm going to close that. And then cultural outreach. Now, cultural outreach, you know, we have a tab for Hispanic resources. So we didn't want to duplicate this. So for anything that's in Spanish, if you click on this, you'll go to the Hispanic resources tab. But we are starting to collect information in other languages. So right now we have 2 prayers in Vietnamese that we have listed here. And as we get more prayers in non-Spanish languages, we'll post those here. That's cultural outreach. Now we're down to the bottom, nearly the bottom of the page, which is club. It's all focused on club officer duties and training. So you start with club officer job descriptions. This is 8 pages, but I think it's a single page description of each job. It's fairly old, but it's still pretty good. And then we have the recent club officer training recordings for session 1, session 2, and session 3. We're going to be also putting up here this week, it'll probably show up, are the rally training sessions for vocations, programs, communications, membership, and cultural outreach. And then it goes down to specific offices. So club president. So we have a club president's manual. Now for all these manuals, I want to warn you, the manuals are old. I don't know, I think the club president manual's dated 2005. I decided, and they're fairly extensive too. They're longer than I would typically make them. I think they could be shortened up quite a bit, but I put them in because they still have a lot of good ideas. If you're a club president, I think you could get a lot from reading it. There's a section of our training program in PowerPoints that deals with the president's checklist. And then that checklist mentions some engagement tools called Count on Me and Count on Me spreadsheet. Count on Me is sent out to members to find out what they're interested in helping on. And then the spreadsheet is used on how to tabulate the results from that mailing. So that's club president. I'll just scan down here. I'm not going to go through everything. We have a manual on the club vice president for vocations, and I think that's fairly current. The club vice president for programs, I think that's also relatively current. Communications is not current, but still good ideas. Membership, I think, is reasonably current, and cultural outreach is not yet done. And then finally, we have a section for club treasurers. We have a one-page job description, a recording, training that we do once a year, treasures, the PowerPoints that are used in that training, and also the support documents that are used in that training. Club Foundation rep, there is a manual there, and I can't tell you how current or old that is. And the club secretary manual, which is the oldest manual that we have listed here, was 1999, but the secretary's job can't change that much. So there should be some good ideas in there. And hopefully we'll get these updated here in the next year or so, having the committees work on it. But that's the biggest, longest aisle or page on the whole website is club resources. Now we'll go to U.S. leadership resources. This is the third big one of the three. And this starts with, this is all focused on above the club level positions. So we have the district governor position. We have a one-page job description here. We have the district governor manual, although I want to tell you, this manual I think is 240 pages long, single-spaced, and it's a lot of printing. And I think if you're a district governor and you want a copy, you can just call the Chicago office and they'll mail you a hard copy. That's what I'd recommend. And then we have the recent district governor training that took place at the end of this year. And then we have the old visitation report when the district governor visits a club. This wasn't ever a favorite of mine, but some people still use it. So we posted it here so they know where it is. And then we have some presentations sort of ready to go for district governors to give to a club if they're going to visit. One is, what do I get for my dues? And that's a document, it's sort of a talk. One is, who really was Unipro Serra? And that's a document also. Why a Serra club is special, that's a document. The 10 keys to a successful club, that is a PowerPoint presentation. And membership, more than just asking, is also a PowerPoint presentation. So, and even if you're a club officer, you might want to look at these just as options for if you ever get in a jam, you don't have a program or your program speaker backs out. These aren't bad little backups to use in terms of a program at a club, at a main club event. And then we have a big section on new club startups. I'm not going to go through everything here, but just to tell you that there are some nice things at the end here. We have Archbishop Coakley's article when he was trying to get a vocations club going in Oklahoma City, which he did. And we have an endorsement letter from Bishop Cousins when he was our Episcopal advisor, addressed to other bishops to convince them to start Serra clubs. And then finally, we have a section down here for regional directors. And this is the only section of the website that is currently password protected. So only region directors can get in there, and you have to get the password from Ann Rote. And then finally, we go down to our board. We've seen this section before. And again, if you click on any picture, it gives you a little bio and what the people did in their respective clubs and what positions they hold there. Okay. So those are the three big ones. The places where a lot of information is kept. Vocations Resources, which is for anybody, can be parish vocations ministry, priests, Sarans that aren't aware of what Sarah Spark is, or Seven Greats. Then you have Club Resources, which is really for club officers. That's the focus. And Leadership Resources, which is for the above the club level positions like district governor and region director. Now we have a tab for Hispanic resources. And again, you know, this is a major effort on the council's part to reach out to our Hispanic Catholics, who are now about half the church in the United States. And again, you can see what we cover here. We have a project called the Hispanic Ambassador Project. And this describes that project here and how you sign up for it. And then we have a list of the Hispanic resources that Vianney Vocations offers. We have Hispanic resources that we offer ourselves for free. These are printed and you have to buy them. These are free digitals. And then finally, we have some presentations that have happened mostly at recent Serra rallies. So I'll just go click here and we'll just go right from the top to the bottom. There's a little video by Jesse Gallegos, who is our Cultural Outreach Vice President, a little description of the Serra Hispanic Ambassador Project, and you basically recommended to contact Jesse here. In fact, everything on this page, there's very little links, so to speak. The recommendation throughout is to contact Jesse Gallegos unless it's Vianney Vocations, but you can see here some of the materials we provide. They have a treasurer's manual in Spanish, biography of St. Junipero Serra in Spanish, but all things that we can provide to you. And you just have to call Jesse and he can give you a digital version of that through email. And then if we go to Vianney Vocations, they're getting quite a library of Spanish materials here. And you can usually order those in some quantity. Usually people order like 25 or 50 or something, but there's the vocation prayer apostolate brochure, rosary for vocations brochure, 7 ways families can foster vocations, just a lot of things, prayer cards. We don't have a lot of the standard prayers in Spanish because Jesse told me that most Spanish people know you can just Google for the Spanish version of those prayers. But and then finally down at the bottom here, we have some presentations that I think are all on YouTube. So you'll find them on the YouTube channel. We're going to explore that pretty quickly. But these again are from mostly from recent Serra rallies. Good stuff though. And again, we're trying to make it so if somebody comes on the website and they're looking for Hispanic, they don't have to search through everything. They can just go right to Hispanic resources. Then we have a Serra Spark tab, and this tab goes nowhere except to serraspark.org website. So I'll let that come up here. Now, I'll just give you my 2 cents on the serraspark.org website. For both vocations directors and for clubs, Serrans, there's 2 main tabs on this website. One is tools and one is videos. I think a lot of people know about the tools. I'm going to click there, and this lists the 31 tools. And if you click on any one of these pictures, you will get an extensive program of how to implement that tool in place, along with some resources there. So a lot of good stuff there, and a lot of people know about that. This videos tab is highly underutilized as far as I'm concerned. We have some wonderful short videos that are basically by priests or sisters talking about their vocations, and they're organized here by vocations videos for men and vocations videos for women. And then it's broken down by age group for elementary and middle school, for high school, and for collegians and young adults, and the same for the women there. But some really good stuff that people overlook. And, you know, I just really highly recommend you take a look at those. Some of those make wonderful club programs. But these are the these are the tabs you really want to use on Serra Spark, tools and videos. The rest of it, I don't think is not quite as relevant as just these 2. Those are the work tools. Serra Ignite. Now this is our free Parish Vocations Ministry Training Program. And this would be something that a vocations director or a bishop might want to look at because we offer it, but it's the bishop and the vocations director that signs up for it. And this just gives some background on what it is, some testimonials from dioceses where it's been done, and basically sends you off to Ann Rote, our president, to get scheduled for a free training in your diocese. So that is Serra Ignite. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to go in a little bit different order because I think that this is the most important one is YouTube. I'm going to go to the YouTube channel, the Serra YouTube channel. Now, I got to give a real call out to Barbara Lester in the Chicago office. We got a lot of complaints that people couldn't find things on the Serra YouTube channel, and she reorganized it here. So if you're under home, she organized it by what she calls playlists. So she has a recent playlist, which is at the top, recently posted videos. And then there are the training videos from the Serra Rally as a second playlist. We have all of our recent Serra Meet speakers. I don't know how far this goes back, but I'm guessing a long ways. Yeah, I think we got 15 or 20 from our Serra Meets. Those are great presentations too. They usually last about 30 minutes. Go back to the beginning. And then these are highlights of the Serra Rally that was recently held in Miami. And great talks by Mother Adela Galindo, Bishop Thomas Daly, Cardinal Collins, some really good stuff there. We have Serra Club programs. We have club events. I'm not sure what those are exactly, but I think you'd find them interesting. And then we have training videos and webinars that we've done over time. Some of these have already been, we've seen them listed in other websites, but everything's here on the Serra YouTube channel. We have the last international convention for Serra International that was held in New Orleans. And then we have some training videos for Club Express. And we have some recent club officer training videos that Dr. Ann Rote did for us. So a lot of good stuff here. I might mention, YouTube, I think a lot of us feel more clubs should be looking at YouTube videos for Serra. It has one major drawback, and that is that unless you're a subscriber, which most people are not, if you click on a video, you get a commercial at the beginning. Sometimes it's kind of simple or stupid or even embarrassing, but you got to get through the commercial to get to the video. The great thing about YouTube is that a lot of people don't know is that if you open it and you click on it, it gives you the option to download the YouTube video into your computer. Now, that means you don't have to have internet to show it. You just have to have a big screen TV or a projector. So it's a wonderful thing you can download and just take, and you don't have to worry about your internet connection. Let me go back here. So we did YouTube. Now we're going to do the Serra portal, which again, I told you we're going to change this tab to say Club Express. And if you've ever tried to log into Club Express, this takes you right to the login page where you use your username and your password. And then we have the Serra International, which takes you right to the Serra International website. And finally, we have Contact, which is the 3 different ways to contact us, which is call, mail, or email. And then you can also send a message down here at the bottom if you want to just make a direct email to the office. And I've tested this out and it does work. So people are watching that there. And the final one is donate, which takes you to the Serra Foundation website. And people can donate to Serra International, to Serra U.S., anything that they want to donate to, or just a general donation to the foundation. So, okay, so that's the library. We've just taken a walk through the whole library, and as I said, some of the aisles are long and you have to scroll. Some of the aisles are very quick and you don't have to scroll. And hopefully that gives you a good feel for where information's at and how to find it. Somebody asked me what's not on the SerraUS.org website. And actually, the one thing we don't have on, I'm going to talk to Dr. Ann Rote about this, is maybe our posting a copy of our Serra strategic plan on there. But aside from that, when I come across stuff, I just keep putting it on there. And right now, I'm in charge of keeping this up Eventually, I'm going to transfer it to the Chicago office. And like I said, we have some features that should automate as things scroll through, like the Club of the Week, and also the most current Sarens and the most current always forward, never backs. But that's pretty much it.
One comment, while you were going through that, I was also watching it on my iPhone, and it really looks good. Sometimes websites don't translate as well to the smartphones, but this one really looks good. Navigates just a little differently, but you can get to all the stuff you were talking about.
Phone, I think it does look pretty good.
Yep.
Okay, we don't need to spend forever on this. I think you got the notion here. Chuck does have a comment here, but I'll just say that if you have ideas or you find things that don't work, the trick is now we got to keep all these links working. And there's going to be some links that need to change. Like after Lent is over, we're going to have to change over to the Advent meditations. We got to stay on top of that. It's not going to be easy, but we will try to do that. And the more people use this, the more we'll find out what works and what doesn't, and what more we should include. And again, I'd like to see people have somebody from their club visit the homepage at least once a week, particularly for this section here on recent news and upcoming events. I'll do my very best to keep that up to date. It takes about 3 or 4 days after something comes out for the Vianney Vocations people to make changes, but I have a change request in here to update this for April 26th, and I think we've got something new that we're going to plug in over here on the upcoming events. So,
Mike, this is Jim Burns in Kansas City. I just want to say this is absolutely excellent. And thank you on behalf of all Sarens for the time and effort that you've spent to get this organized. It's going to be a tremendous tool, and everything we can do as individuals observing it here to get the word out to all the clubs to use it as a resource. But thank you.
okay, with that, I'm going to end the recording here.